Hi Bulldogs, today's video is another demonstration of Soundtrap. We're going to be talking about the skill of arrangement, which is where a musician takes different pieces of a song and decides what instrument is going to play what part. A lot of times in a song you have the melody, you have the accompaniment, which is chords. Sometimes you have a counter melody or a bass part or percussion parts, and so deciding on what instruments play those different parts can really change how your song sounds and feels. Today I'm going to be taking MIDI files of the song Dance Monkey and importing them into Soundtrap and then experimenting with changing those instruments and seeing what that song sounds like when only string instruments play it, or if it's in a group of brass instruments, or if it sounded like a group of rock musicians were going to play those different parts of that song. So although today's video is going to be a bit technical, it's still interesting to hear what a song can sound like when it's arranged differently. To really follow along, you'll need to have a Soundtrap account, and if you don't, I would encourage you to follow the link below in the comments and get that set up. I have another Soundtrap video up on this channel, and so you can also get started by watching that one all the way through. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the computer so you can follow along on how to arrange a song by changing the instruments on a MIDI file for a song. The MIDI file is just to say that it is a file that I can upload into Soundtrap that already has the music written out for me, so I don't need to recreate it. I can just alter that. So let's get to it. Alright, so I'm here on my Soundtrap homepage. Again, like we did before, we're going to want to click on Enter the Studio. And then we're going to, instead of creating our own song, this time we're going to need to upload something. So we'll go to Music first, and then in the middle, on the bottom, there is an option that says Import File. So we're going to click on that, and we are going to import our MIDI file. As soon as that loads, you can see already there are 5 different parts ready to go here. We've got the voice on top, the chords, a bass for the verse, a bass part for the chorus, and the drums. So you can already see that there are different parts filled in for each voice, for each part, and it's not really going to be set up instrument-wise yet. It just kind of defaults. So let's give a listen as to what we hear. So I'm going to click on the play button, which is the triangle on the bottom. Okay, so that's how it defaulted. Not bad. It certainly has the MIDI parts accurate and ready to go there. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the metronome so that steady click isn't going on in the background. And now I just kind of want to take one part at a time and just show you what the MIDI kind of looks like itself. So if I click on the voice part, we have this top line, and I can click on Edit. And if I want to click on Edit Notes, this is what the MIDI file has uploaded like, and what it looks like here. Each of these different squares is in a grid, and you can fill out squares to create notes. The notes, if you go from left to right, are moving in time, and up and down is the pitch as they match to the piano. So if I kind of move some of the squares by scrolling, you can see that they are aligned to different notes on the piano. These are already accurate because I uploaded a MIDI file that someone already had created, but if you wanted to create your own, you could click on the Draw Notes pencil up here where my cursor is, and I could start filling in different squares, and that is creating my own addition to the MIDI file. So if we were to hear back that bit that I just added there, it's not sounding so good, is it? And that's fine. It's kind of fun to experiment around. And now I'm going to clear these off by clicking on the trash can icon and then just deleting what I just added. Because again, this MIDI file is already ready to go. The notes are accurate. They are placed in the right spot. So we don't really need to mess around with them. But now you know what that looks like and how you could edit it or create your own MIDI file if you wanted to. So again, we have 5 different parts here, and when these MIDI files upload, they are just kind of assigned to a default instrument. So if we wanted to change that instrument, I can click on the small instrument here off to the side icon. It says Show Instrument when my cursor hovers. I click there, and now this is where I can change the instrumentation. So that's been a lot of me talking, but so far we haven't really gotten to a lot of arrangement. So the idea with arrangement is to choose what instruments play these different parts and to think about how those different instruments sound together and work together. So right now, the voice part, the melody that would normally be sung, is being played by a kind of guitar. But if I wanted to change that, I'm going to click there, and let's have our first arrangement be just like string instruments. So I'm going to choose to have, let's see what the viola sounds like. I'm not a huge fan of that. Let's try the viola pizzicato. What does that sound like? I like that better. Pizzicato is when you are using your finger to pluck the strings of your viola or violin or cello. So I'm going to go ahead and do viola pizzicato and X out of that. So now my voice part is played by a pizzicato viola. If I just listen to that, it now sounds like this. So I'm liking that. In terms of chords, this part, I'm going to choose to change the instrument. So I'm going to arrange it so a new instrument is playing here. Again, I said I was going to go with strings for this first arrangement. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see what the harp would sound like. Nice, I like that. And harps are good at playing chords in general because they have so many strings and you can use multiple fingers at the same time. So I'm going to choose the harp to play the chords. I'm going to continue on, and for the bass, there's 2 different sections, the bass for the verse and the bass for the chorus. The bass is the kind of low sounding part. A lot of times it provides the foundation, and so we're going to probably want to choose a lower instrument that sounds lower, and so that might be our double bass or perhaps the cello. Let's see what the double bass sounds like. Sure, we'll go with that. And also, for our second bass part, we're going to change the instrument. And let's maybe try the cello for this one. So we're going to do strings, and we'll do the cello if we can find it. What does that sound like? Nice, we'll go with that. Okay, and then last but not least, we've got the drums. And this percussion part, we probably want to keep with a percussion instrument. We can still change it. So again, if we click on the instrument icon, we can change our drums to have a different sound. We could have a kind of more jazzy sound, which sounds like this. Or we could do a more Latin percussion sound. Lots of different options. Why don't we just keep something simple, and we'll just go with that one for now. And we haven't really listened through this yet. So let's go back to the beginning. I'm going to click this icon here, which just takes us back to the beginning. And now let's listen to this arrangement, which has pizzicato viola, our harp, and our double bass and cello along with drums. So this arrangement of Dance Monkey sounds like this. The harp is a little loud, so I'm going to turn it down. I'm going to turn up the melody. Turn down the bass. Okay, so that was my strings arrangement of this song. There's a reason that this song is electronic, but if you were going to decide to have like a string quartet or a group of string instruments cover it, you could certainly do that, and it might sound something like that. If we wanted to try a new arrangement, this time let's change up our instruments, and maybe this time let's try to do a brass arrangement. So we'll get some horns going. I'm going to choose to have the trumpet play the melody. I'm going to choose for the chords, again, to pick a brass instrument. So let's go ahead and have maybe the saxophones play that, although the saxophone is a woodwind instrument, but sometimes grouped together in bands. We'll choose to have the bass parts voiced this time, instead of by the double bass and cello, by perhaps the trombone. So let's have the trombone, and for our second bass part, the bass in the chorus section of the song, let's maybe have the tuba play. We'll keep our percussion the same, and now we have a new brass arrangement and a kind of more band-like or group of different musicians playing. So let's see what this new arrangement sounds like. Okay, so right away I can hear that the chords played by the tenor saxophones, the MIDI file has them playing much higher than they would normally. So I'm going to go ahead and change the pitch, and all I'm doing is I'm going to take it down an octave, which just means it's going to play an octave lower than it is. So it'll be a little bit more realistic sounding. Let's listen again. I'm going to turn down the trumpet. So these MIDI files are played basically by a keyboard. So just like if you have an electronic keyboard, sometimes you can change the instrument or what that sounds like. It's done digitally, so these aren't actual instruments playing these, but rather kind of a computer estimate of what that might sound like. So sometimes it sounds accurate and sometimes it sounds a little fake. But so there were parts of that I enjoyed. I thought the tuba part when it came in here for the bass chorus was particularly nice. So I thought that sounded good. Other parts of this I didn't like as much, but that's just my personal taste. So that was an arrangement with a more band kind of styling. We'll do one more arrangement where we change up the instruments and see what it would look like. So let's go ahead and switch over to, let's do kind of more of a rock guitar arrangement. So we're going to go ahead and pick rock, and we'll pick, let's go with, let's see what 1984 sounds like. All right, so we'll go ahead and put that in our lead part. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, that's an amp. So instead of doing the amp, we're going to come up here and use the MIDI instrument. So I apologize for that. We'll go ahead and still stick with rock, stick with our 1984, and add that in for the voice. Now for the chords, we're going to still pick a guitar from rock. This time, let's do the British stack. We're going to change our bass parts over to new instrument. We are arranging our piece, so different instruments are now playing the different parts. Since this is a bass, we're going to want to pick a bass instrument, and let's go ahead and do an electric bass, and we'll go ahead and try out maybe the coal bass. Okay. Bass for the chorus. Maybe we'll just go ahead and stick with the coal bass. So I'll find that again. It was in guitar and bass, bass electric, and the coal bass. Okay, and then finally we'll keep our drums the same. So we'll start back from the top, and this would be what the sounds like with guitars and electric basses playing this piece. Let's give it a listen. Okay, so that arrangement definitely sounded different. It sounded more of like a rock band playing it. So you can see how choosing different instruments to play your different MIDI parts really does make a difference of how your song can sound. And this is a musical skill called arrangement. It can be done on software like Soundtrap, but it's also done by people who are composing music and writing it down. When you're writing an orchestra or when you're writing a piece of music with maybe traditional notation, you're writing it out on the staff and with paper and a pencil, or maybe even online. You need to decide what instruments are going to want to play each part. A lot of composers sometimes work at their instrument that they're most comfortable with. For example, some people work at the piano and they decide on the parts at the piano. So they'll compose and create different melodies and accompaniments at the piano. But then to make it more interesting, they'll choose to have different instruments play those different parts. And that is the skill of arrangement. I hope that looking at this Soundtrap tutorial today, you got an idea of what arrangement looks like on this platform and gives you the tools to start changing the instruments and experimenting with arrangement here. Okay, thanks for hanging in there. I know these videos with the tutorials can get a little lengthy and be a little laborious, but I hope you have an idea of what you can do with Soundtrap and get experimenting with arrangement on your own.